Wife, haunted by her past, slipped into deceit and absence, leaving me questioning the foundation of our 20-year marriage. I'm a 46-year-old man, and I've been married to my wife, who's 45, for over 20 years. Together, we have 3 teenage kids. If you had asked me a year ago, I would have said we had a wonderful marriage, maybe a few bumps, but nothing extraordinary. But lately, as I look back, I realize that out of pure love and obsession, I've seen things through rose-colored glasses. I was blind to a lot, simply because I adored her. We met in college. I knew her best friend first, she went to the same school as me, and that's how I got introduced. My wife had a really tough upbringing. Her mom had her very young and was never married. In fact, my wife didn't meet her biological dad until she was in her 30s, a wild story for another day. Her mom isn't a good person, and for years now, my wife has had no contact with her. Until she was a teenager, my wife and her mother shared a bedroom at her grandparents' house. Their relationship then felt more like siblings than mother and daughter. When she hit her teen years, her mom got married to another terrible man, moving them in with his family. That's when my wife's mom started an affair with a married guy. He ended up divorcing his wife, marrying my mother-in-law, and bringing his 2 slightly older children into the mix. Imagine that, 2 shattered families, with teenage kids, abruptly forced to merge. Their father had cheated, and now everyone's all crammed under one roof. The horror stories my wife told me from her childhood are almost hard to believe. Her mom told her she should have been aborted, tried to push her out of a moving car, and the hits and slaps were constant. Compliments simply didn't exist. I honestly have never heard my mother-in-law say a single nice thing about my wife, ever. Still, my wife was always smart, did well in school, avoided trouble, cooked for her family, and was just beautiful. But her mom's criticisms were relentless. As if that wasn't enough, she was sexually assaulted in college by a friend of her stepbrother. The things that poor woman has had to carry, all her life, it's just indescribable. So I did what I could, loved her with every bit of myself, supported her the best I could, stood by her during her therapy, and tried to be the partner she deserved. I'm not perfect, not even close, but I tried. We're now well past the 20-year mark in our marriage, and let me tell you, loving her hasn't been easy. I've absorbed some pretty wild treatment and, lately, I'm starting to wonder if my love's blinded me. Is this a healthy environment for me? I honestly don't know. Part of me feels like I could never leave, not to her, not to the kids. It's starting to feel like my entire purpose here is to provide, financial, emotional, physical, as a parent, and nothing more. About 5 years ago, something happened that shook me up. We went to a beach town for a long weekend getaway with a lifelong friend of mine and his family. It was a great time, honestly. One night, we left an amusement park and decided to get ice cream with the kids. As we passed a bar, a baseball game was ending and my friend and I suggested we duck in for a drink to catch the game's ending, while the wives and kids got ice cream next door. I never do things like this, but everyone seemed fine, so we went for maybe 20, 30 minutes tops. When we got back to our place, my wife absolutely lost it on me. Accused me of abandoning the family, for all of 30 minutes, while they ate ice cream next door. And that was the first time she hit me. She punched me 4 times and hurled a chair at me. I was in shock. After that, things escalated. She broke the shower door on me, pinning me, naked, inside the shower. If she hadn't eventually brought me a screwdriver so I could dismantle the door, I might still be stuck in there. Then, just before the holidays in 2019, maybe 4 months after the physical stuff began, she erupted after a disagreement with our daughter. She'd said something to our daughter she shouldn't have, an easy fix, just a simple apology, but instead she turned it into World War III. After sending our daughter to her room, my wife and I went to our bedroom. I tried to calm her down, but apparently she wanted me to match her outrage, and suddenly she unleashed full fury on me. She punched me over and over, I can't even remember how many times, but I ended up with a bloody nose and a cut under my eye. I'm over 6 feet and in good shape, my wife's nearly a foot shorter and maybe 80 pounds lighter, but I just sat there and let her punch me. It was like being frozen. I was scared. I thought if I tried to restrain her, I'd get blamed and maybe even arrested. She was screaming, wild-eyed, pummeling me. It was one of the most terrifying moments of my life. The next day, when I had to coach my daughter's basketball game with a bruised and cut-up face, it was humiliating. Afterward, I freaked out. I realized just how dangerous things had gotten. My wife apologized and all but begged me not to leave her. She went through a near breakdown. Her therapist became involved, and we started couples therapy for the first time. Let me tell you, that was a mess. What I learned in couples therapy is that therapists, at least every one we've seen, focus on the patient with the most needs. With my wife's background, all the focus went to her. It was like I didn't even exist, or, at least, my problems didn't matter. It was hard to be an afterthought in my own marriage, but that was the reality. Of course, then COVID hit and therapy ended. We tried again last year but it was even worse. The cycle repeated, all the energy in the room was absorbed by her pain and her past. So, what's the rest of my marriage like? Well, we've always been really sexually active. My wife's stunningly beautiful, she turns heads everywhere we go, though she never seems to notice. Sometimes I'm outright infatuated with her, honestly. But when you grow up with a mother who hates you and tears you down constantly, it leaves damage. I tried to counter that damage, always complimented her about everything. Her looks, her intelligence, what a wonderful mother she is, even what an incredible cook and hostess she is during holidays. She's amazing in so many ways. I'm not vain, but as I started to age and lose my hair, I suddenly started feeling insecure, probably for the first time in my life. I hoped for a little reassurance. But she's never once really complimented me about my looks. Maybe she's just brutally honest, I don't know. Then, one night after we'd been intimate, she told me I was small. Completely unsolicited, after over 15 years together. I always thought I was average, maybe just under 6 inches. I thought she'd been happy all those years together, but to hear that? It was brutal. She later admitted, she said it to hurt me out of some sort of anger. She wasn't even sure what she was mad about. She's tried to walk that back, but it's been tough. Not long after that, I asked her what was physically attractive about me. I was just looking to feel better about myself. She told me there was nothing. Those were her words. And she was kind of shocked that I was taken aback by that and hurt by it. Hey, I asked, so I guess I deserve it. She's tried to walk that back a lot over the years as well. Around that time, we went to dinner and I sort of said, hey, I'm over 40, and for the first time ever, I'm feeling anxiety and stress over work, the kids, and life, etc. I asked if she could try to be more supportive and caring. She said no, that she was a good wife already and was providing support already. She couldn't do any more. We actually talked through a lot of it. I expressed how it made me feel. She apologized for what she said. She's actually way more giving of compliments than she has ever been. She has improved there. But it feels forced. Only being said cause I asked her to. Doesn't always feel sincere. I have discussed it at length in therapy and I'm basically good with my appearance and what I can/cannot control, but I still think it was unnecessarily mean of her. My wife has a massive fear of abandonment and has massive trust issues. She regularly accuses me of cheating. I have been nothing but faithful. I have to travel some for work, on average about 3 days a month, some months more and months less. She regularly wakes me up in the middle of the night to FaceTime to see if anyone is in my room. There has obviously never been. One night last year, I had to travel to give an important big presentation. Had to give it first thing in the AM. I prepared for weeks and it was stressful. I am presenting the work of my team so pressure is on me to show the good work everyone has done. My wife and I spoke around 10 o'clock, talked for about a half hour and I went to bed. At 2 AM, I woke up to banging on the hotel door. She had somehow convinced the hotel manager, huge national hotel chain, so I'm not sure how this is compliant with their policies, to check on me because of an emergency. I realized I had maybe 10 missed calls and maybe 30 text messages from her. I had been asleep. So we FaceTime, we confirmed there is no one there in the room with me. She wasn't sorry or anything. She was mad that it took her so long to get a hold of me. I was now wide awake and had to give this presentation. Then had to work a full day, attend a work dinner, on basically 3 hours of sleep. My wife has always been insanely jealous of other women. My first boss after college was like 4 years older than me. Her husband worked at the same company. My wife hated her, I guess cause I would talk about her. She was the person I worked closest with. I basically gave up any female friendships that I had, not that I was particularly close with any other women. One thing that was a particular issue for her was bachelor parties when all my friends were getting married. She hated the idea of me going to a strip club. Okay fine, I don't particularly enjoy strip clubs. Nothing against the workers there, but I just see it as they just want my money and I don't need to pay to see a really attractive woman. So anyway, neither of us had strippers or anything like that at our bachelor/bachelorette parties. I had a great time at mine. We played golf, went to an awesome dinner and then gambled afterwards. Anyway, some friends of mine did go to strip clubs for their bachelor parties. I always told my wife. And she wanted me to attend. I offered to skip that part, but I don't think she wanted to be seen by my friends or the other wives as controlling or a stick in the mud. I really don't know. But she wanted me to stay in contact the entire time. It was a little over the top but I did it. I would literally text her nearly the entire time I was there. Describing the situation, just talking about the night. Not sure why I even went to that part of the bachelor party. This happened 3 or 4 times. When I got home, I got the 3rd degree. She examined me, smelled me. Examined my body for evidence, examined my underwear. It was crazy. Before the last one, I said I don't want to do this. I don't even want to go. But she didn't want that, she wanted to go and stay in touch. She promised to back off some, but she didn't really. At one point, a bouncer came over and told me to put the phone away when I was texting. So I did. I guess he was worried I was taking pictures. No, I wasn't taking pictures, I was staying in touch. Typing this out makes me realize how ridiculous it was. All of this would have been no big deal. These bachelor parties all happened over 10 years ago. Recently, she was talking about her BF's bachelorette party which was years ago. My wife was the maid of honor. She had always insisted that she never went to a strip club ever. Well recently, my wife said something about the men pulling her friend up on stage and embarrassing her. I was like, where was this? Even in that moment, I wouldn't have cared that they went to a strip club. I trust her. Or until all this I fully trusted her. She insisted this was at a typical bachelorette party restaurant that wasn't a strip club. I don't know what that is. Does anyone know? I said that it felt like she wasn't being honest. She was offended. I said that I thought that the real issue was that she thought I might have put her through the same thing she put me through. I said I didn't like it, but it was so long ago, I don't really care. But she doubled and tripled down. So she goes to the other room and texts her BF and comes back and hands me the phone to show me the texts. She asks the friend, "Did we go to a strip club for your bachelorette party?" Which seems like an odd question to ask someone out of the blue, and the responses seemed odd. So I asked my wife, "Is this the full text exchange? It feels like something is missing." So I look in her deleted texts, and sure enough there are deleted texts. I restore it and the response from the friend is, "Oh, that is a definite yes." So I look at my wife shocked. I don't even know why she went down this path. She says her friend is wrong. Now I'm annoyed and I'm asking, what happened that you would lie about this? What did you do? Horror stories about bachelorette parties are running through my mind. We have an argument over this where I'm gaslit to hell. Doesn't remember, her friend is wrong, that's why she deleted the text, she didn't cheat or do anything wrong. All the comments about her level of attraction to me come back to my mind. No real resolution, but she promises me that she will figure out exactly happened. Fast forward about a month to a holiday party we went to. We see her BF for the first time in a few months. Of course, they talk a lot amongst themselves, which is obviously fine. We leave in 20 minutes after leaving the party. We're in the car, quietly driving home, when she gets a text. It's her best friend. The message pops up with a screenshot, and her BF's text says, "Wife, and I just cannot remember what we did for my bachelorette party. Do you remember?" And then comes this long response, filled with a detailed description about some comedy show they supposedly attended. The story is so obviously fabricated, the whole thing almost makes me laugh, if it weren't so unsettling. There is no possible way it's true. I know, without a doubt, they coordinated this at the party we just left and pieced together this narrative on the fly. As I'm driving, my wife sits beside me, almost giddy as she reads the text aloud, declaring that they've finally solved the mystery. I can't help but feel manipulated. I have no idea what really happened at that bachelorette party, none, and yet this whole production, the scheming, the unnecessary deceit, leaves me feeling empty. She's sticking to her story, whatever that even is. Here's the thing. I genuinely wouldn't have cared if she and her friends had gone to a strip club, because I trusted her. But now, that trust is gone. What really gets me isn't the possible truth about the party, it's the way she's handled it, the lies, the coordinated cover story. That's what broke me. And suddenly, all the old memories come rushing back, the years of abuse, making me question everything. Have I ever truly been loved? Is my wife even capable of love, real love, or has she just strung me along all these years? Did she cheat on me? Am I the world's biggest fool for not noticing? For believing in us? I do love her. I love our family and so much of the life we've built together. There truly are countless positives, many moments of genuine happiness and connection I haven't even mentioned here. But does any of that really offset a whole life lived with this kind of manipulation and pain? The physical abuse did stop 5 years ago. She worked with her former therapist, who specialized in CBT, and she's managed to gain more self-control. But I'm not sure she's ever fully acknowledged the pain she's inflicted on me, and on our kids. And yet, all this other nonsense, the lies, the games, have never stopped. Even with everything she's changed, I'm not sure it makes a real difference for me now. Update 1. I've had a lot of intense conversations with my wife lately. We've actually spent the whole weekend apart, letting things settle. Then, today, she sent me a message that completely threw me, one of those long, pouring your heart out kind of texts that demand your full attention. I didn't know what to feel as I read it. Part of me wanted to believe every word, and the other part, well, I just didn't know. She wrote, "I said awful things to you I didn't mean. I did it because I was unkind and reckless. I physically hurt you. I became incredibly selfish and did not honor you like I should have. None of that is excusable and I will literally be working to correct it for the rest of my life. You live with the weight of my words and actions and it kills me that I put you in that position." Her words kept echoing in my mind. She was pouring out regret, taking all the blame with devastating honesty. She confessed to being selfish, to letting me down when I needed her most, to letting herself hide behind excuses and immaturity. She was adamant, she never cheated, never even wanted to cheat. Instead, she admitted to taking the coward's route, deleting texts and dodging the uncomfortable conversations that I so desperately wanted to have. She said she'd never again allow herself to do any of those things that had hurt me so much. One line that stuck with me was the guilt she felt, not guilt for cheating, because, according to her, that had never happened, but guilt for the pain, the confusion, the loss of trust. She told me outright that she broke me, trampled my feelings, and she accepted full responsibility for the wounds she caused. But then, as if clutching for some kind of hope, she said, "I love and adore you. I am incredibly attracted to you and want to have a close, fulfilling sexual relationship with you. I have never ever said that you don't satisfy me, in fact it's been quite the opposite over the years. I love the life you provide. I am incredibly grateful for how hard you work, how much you sacrifice. She promised, over and over, that she'd spend the rest of her life trying to repair what she destroyed, that she'd keep fighting until my trust could maybe start to stitch itself back together. She said I'm the absolute love of her life, that the day we met was a blessing she doesn't take for granted. She wanted to be the one to make me feel secure, loved, appreciated. If I could take back every single moment I made you doubt, every second I made you feel unloved or unsafe, I would, she said. I will do whatever you need. Today, now and always. Reading all this, my mind went back to another time she said all the right words, like at her friend's bachelorette party, when a similar message popped up. It made me question how much of this is just a pattern, and how much is genuine change. I started realizing, as much as these words are what I needed to hear, what really matters is what she does next. I haven't really spoken to anyone in my life about what's been going on, but that's about to change. It's time for me to start talking, to actually share what's been happening and get some outside perspective. I think I finally know which path I need to take. As much as her love might be real, her words won't mean anything unless I see her actions back it up. This is the moment where I stop internalizing everything and start reaching out, even if it's hard. I'm grateful for the kindness of those who offered support when I needed it most. And to those who tried to kick me while I was down. Why do people do that, especially when their points might be valid? It's a question I can't answer, but I refuse to stay in that place anymore. Update 2. Back in February, I finally reached my breaking point after more than 20 years of marriage and countless headaches. I'm just a middle-aged dad of 3, but I'd put up with so much nonsense for so long that I had to take action. So, I demanded a 2-month separation. To keep the kids in the dark, we told them I was away for work, or when I was home, that my wife was traveling with friends. She absolutely hated every single day of the separation, while I, for the first time in years, could finally breathe. Before I agreed to come back, I laid down my conditions. We needed marriage counseling. Again, this was counselor number 3. Honestly, she was a bit better, but I wanted my wife to take control this time. She had to find the therapist, lay out all the backstory, the abuse, the insults, everything. She did it. I also demanded she finally tell me everything. No more secrets about anything remotely inappropriate with another guy, including whatever happened at her friend's infamous bachelorette party. She stalled for weeks, initially sticking to her same old story. Then, out of nowhere, she started telling me she was working on it with her therapist, working on how to tell me. She didn't seem to get how agonizing that was for me. My mind went straight to the darkest places. Still, by April, I agreed to come home, thinking she was finally making progress. A lot of our counseling sessions turned to the physical abuse she'd put me through, which peaked back in 2016 to 2018. She confessed she'd grown intensely resentful of me then, ever since I got a promotion that made everyone fawn over me. To make matters worse, she'd gotten into the best shape of her life, while I was heavier than ever, and she felt invisible and jealous. She spelled this all out, flat and matter of fact. But she started doing cognitive behavioral therapy and some programs for abusive partners, and even owned up to her behavior in front of our kids. A small spark of hope flickered. Maybe we really could turn a corner. But there was always that shadow over her friend's bachelorette party, the part she never really disclosed. By June, my patience had bottomed out, and I left again. This time she handled it differently, more maturely, even calmly. Despite being separated, we still saw each other, went out for date nights, and even got intimate. I'm not even sure what kind of separation that really was. She finally said she was ready to be open about the past and started preparing for a full disclosure. A few weeks ago, she invited me to a session with her therapist, a therapeutic disclosure. I could have screamed. The anxiety was overwhelming. I sat in that room, dreading what would come next. She started by talking about her friend's actual bachelorette party. It was just a show, no strippers, lots of drinking and goofing around. But then she dropped the bigger bomb. There was a second bachelorette party thrown by her friend's work buddies at a hotel, and there, yeah, strippers were involved. In her words, it got wild. The irony of it all hit me hard. She'd always crucified me for even the idea of a strip club, yet she was living it up with strippers at a party. She claimed she never touched them, even when they pressed up against her, sometimes wearing nothing at all. According to her, that was the extent of it. True or not, by that point, I couldn't make myself care anymore. But then, in the therapist's office, she dropped another bombshell. I'd asked her point blank if there was anything with any other guy that I didn't know about. She unveiled a convoluted story from 2016, involving one of her friends stuck mid-divorce and a retired pro athlete this friend met at the gym. My wife, playing wingman, tagged along as her friend chased after this athlete. The athlete's entourage included a guy who zeroed in on my wife. According to her, it was all just flirting, but he was relentless, putting his hands on her, groping her, always with his arm draped around her, trying to kiss her, even sending her explicit photos and buying her a thong bikini just so she'd send him pictures in it. She insisted she never reciprocated, never wanted it, but never stopped it either, with the excuse that she craved attention and, mostly, wanted to support her friend. Eventually, the friend and the athlete had a falling out, and he moved away. Sitting there, I was completely stunned. My wife was crying, The therapist was praising her bravery, as if dumping all this on me was an act of courage. I was supposed to be grateful that I now knew the truth, that she finally complied with my desperate plea for honesty. I left the therapist's office devastated. My wife followed, but my phone started exploding with calls and texts from her best friend, 10 calls in a row, then texts insisting that everything my wife had said about the parties was true. Suddenly, texts started pouring in from the rest of her circle, all confirming the story. Even her friend who'd paired off with the athlete messaged to back it all up, saying my wife was just being a solid friend, taking one for the team. So, there it was. My humiliation broadcast to an ever-growing cast of friends, all of whom she could talk to about everything, except me. When it came to me, she needed a therapist's office and a stage. It was, and still is, the cruelest kind of manipulation. Now, I just feel completely done. The worst part is I still love her, which probably makes me a fool. We're separated now. I've spoken to a lawyer. The kids know and blame me, they're furious, convinced that I'm the one abandoning them. If I have any advice, it's to be kind to your partner. Love them and respect them. After all these years, I adored my wife, I still do, but it turns out, that was never enough. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and honestly, I wasn't sure I'd ever write another one. But here I am, because life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. The separation has been complicated. We're still living apart, though the kids have slowly started coming around. My oldest, Emma, was the first to crack. She cornered me 2 weeks after I moved out, demanding to know why I was destroying our family. When I finally told her some of the truth, not everything, but enough, she went quiet for a long time. Then she said something that gutted me. Dad, I always wondered why you look so sad sometimes. My wife and I have been doing this strange dance where we're technically separated but still connected. We meet for coffee sometimes, ostensibly to discuss the kids, but it always turns into something more. Last month, we even had dinner together on what would have been our 21st anniversary. Neither of us mentioned the date, but we both knew. The real kicker came 2 weeks ago. I was picking up some of my things from the house when my wife's phone rang. She was in the shower, and without thinking, I glanced at the screen. It was a name I didn't recognize, Marcus. I almost ignored it, but something made me look twice at the notification that popped up. Can't wait to see you tonight. Same place? My blood went cold. When she came downstairs, I asked her directly who Marcus was. The look that crossed her face, I'd seen it before. That same deer in headlights expression from the bachelorette party fiasco. He's just a friend from my therapy group, she said, not meeting my eyes. Your therapy group doesn't meet at night. She scrambled for an explanation. Individual sessions, she claimed. Sometimes they grab coffee after to decompress. All very innocent. But here's the thing, I've learned to trust my gut. And my gut was screaming. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. Just for 1 week, I told myself. Just to know for sure. The photos arrived yesterday. They weren't explicit, but they didn't need to be. My wife and this Marcus guy, tall, athletic, probably mid-40s, at a wine bar across town, his hand on her thigh. Her laughing in a way I hadn't seen in years. A kiss as they parted ways in the parking lot. I sat in my rental apartment staring at those photos for 2 hours. Part of me felt vindicated, my instincts were right. Part of me felt destroyed all over again. But mostly, I felt relieved. Finally, I had my answer. I haven't confronted her yet. I'm not sure I will, at least not right away. Because here's what I've realized, it doesn't actually change anything. Whether she cheated now, during our separation, or years ago, the marriage was already over. I was just too afraid to admit it. The strangest part? I'm not even angry. I'm sad for her, honestly. She's 45 years old and still running from herself, still sabotaging anything good in her life. Her childhood damaged her in ways that therapy might never fully heal, and now she's passing that damage on to our kids. My lawyer says I have grounds for a favorable divorce settlement now, especially with the documented history of abuse and this new evidence. But I keep thinking about something Emma said to me last week. Dad, you deserve to be happy. For the first time in 20 years, I'm starting to believe that might actually be possible. The papers are drawn up. I just need to find the courage to serve them.